Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Sabor, and in today's video we'll be reacting India versus Pakistan, who would win a military comparison 2020. So please stay tuned. We're going to get started with that video in just a couple of minutes. For those of you who are new, welcome to my channel. I upload videos daily, so please consider subscribing to the channel and turning notification on so you're notified when a new video is uploaded. Stay tuned guys, we'll be right back with the video. Welcome back guys, we're going to get started with the video in just a couple of minutes, and at the end of the video I'll be sharing with you my observation as well as reaction, so please make sure you stay until the end. Now let's get started.
It's the conflict that many have called a possible prelude to World War III, and one that's already played out multiple times over the last 70 years. India versus Pakistan, a clash of powers that if both sides fully committed to, would be the largest armed conflict since
Pakistan
World
and
War
India is pretty tense
but
too.
which side really has the
It's
upper
always
hand?
clear,
And what would
similar
the
to, I
conflict
guess,
end up looking
China
like
and India.
between these two intense rivals? India and Pakistan's relationship is a rocky one, to say the least, with both sides feuding against the other ever since Britain pulled out of the region after World War II and created the two separate states. All matter of border and culture conflicts resulted in a neighborhood commonly called the most dangerous in the world, a potential conflict zone more likely to result in all-out war than even the borders between
hopefully
nothing
ever happens in that area, because if it does,
historically Pakistan has suffered repeated defeats in
basically
its
start a
wars
world
against
war,
India.
because
Although it's also
you know,
achieved key
Pakistan's
strategic
side
smaller-scale
does
victories amongst the no man's
China,
land
they
that
have as well
borders
as
the two
Russia.
nations. In the early
India is also
2000s,
close
a
to
new
China
security
as well as
partnership with the
America,
United
so
States
you know,
made
it's going to
many
just pull
Indians
everybody
nervous,
else. But
as it was
we
believed
pray
such a
that
partnership might lead to an
peace remains
influx of
throughout the
American
world.
military equipment and training, greatly improving the capabilities of the Pakistani military. Soon, though, American intelligence officials realized that Pakistan was
is training the
double-dealing
Taliban
them, aiding
and
Taliban
support
forces
them.
in Afghanistan, and even sheltering them from American
Unfortunately,
strikes.
Afghanistan suffers
Pakistan
from
never had any interest in the Taliban being
the
ousted from
involvement of
Afghanistan,
Taliban in the
despite
country.
taking hundreds of millions of dollars from the U.S. for its cooperation. For Pakistan, the Taliban was a vital strategic buffer between itself and Iran, whom hated the Taliban. It quickly became clear that the U.S. and Pakistan would not become close partners after all.
So what they're saying
a
is that
growing
Pakistan is
relationship
supporting
between
the
the U.S. and
Taliban
India, the
to
world's most
keep
powerful democracy
like
and the world's largest democracy,
basically like a
put
buffer,
Pakistan
like they
on
said,
the
or a
back foot.
distance
Now the
between
nation relies on
themselves
its
and
arsenal of
Iran.
nuclear weapons to fend off Indian forces and continues to finance and aid terrorists to strike against Indian targets.
Politics is dirty. It's just
For its part,
innocent
India's
people that
patience
die
is
in the
running
middle, you know?
incredibly thin. And one more attack, such as that in Mumbai in 2008, which was coordinated by Pakistani intelligence, will almost certainly lead to a swift and overwhelming Indian response. In case of a war, Indian forces are over twice as large as Pakistan, with a military made up of 1.444
India has
million
1.4
personnel
million,
versus 654,000.
and Pakistan has 650. It makes sense because India has a larger population too, so
million reservists able to be called up
2.1 million
service
reservists
versus Pakistan's 550,000.
and basically these guys
However,
have like close to
India's
half
much
a
larger
million.
size versus Pakistan's means Indian reservists will take longer to call up, equip, and mobilize to the front lines versus Pakistan.
Well, that
So
makes sense. Pakistan is smaller, so it's easier to bring people together as well as equipment, where India is larger, so for them it's going to be difficult to bring people together as well as equipment, right? So,
with 61
and
billion
in war,
versus 11 billion.
speed is
This allows
key.
India to operate far more mechanized forces than Pakistan, which only
Yeah, since
operates
India is
about 2
larger, it makes
mechanized
sense that they
infantry
have a larger
divisions.
budget.
The difference is also in equipment, though, with India fielding overwhelmingly more modern equipment than Pakistan. India's air force is also much larger than the Pakistani air force, with 2,123
And I would guess most of their equipment
aircraft
India
versus
probably has
Pakistan's
more again,
1,372.
because they have a larger
India's
budget,
fighter fleet numbers at
and
538
they can
versus
buy more
Pakistan's
equipment, right?
356. Although in any conflict, Pakistan will
So just like
almost
in
certainly be
anything, you have
fighting
more money,
defensively.
you can
This
get more
would allow
resources.
Pakistan's air artillery to help neutralize some of that numerical disadvantage. And in a defensive war,
And I would guess that
the will actually put it roughly on
size
par
of
with
India is
Pakistan's
larger
fighter
too, so
fleets
obviously it
once
needs more
losses and
equipment,
denial
for
from air
example, to
artillery is
protect its
accounted
border,
for.
right?
Where India
Whether
truly
it's
holds the advantage, though, is in its
personnel
fleet
or
of
whatever equipment,
260
cars or
Sukhoi
trucks or
Su-30s,
tanks that they
an
use to
extremely capable Russian
patrol
fighter whose
the
only
borders.
real
I'm not sure like
competition on
how
the
they
Pakistani side is the American-made
defend their borders,
F-16,
but
while
you
a
know,
modern
however way
F-16
they're
is
doing it,
more
they
than
would
a
need
match for
personnel to
Su-30.
protect
Not
those
many of
borders.
Pakistan's F-16s
And here
are
we can
fully
see they have
modernized.
more
To make matters worse,
airplanes as well.
Pakistan only fields 76 of them. Most of the Pakistani Air Force is made of Chinese or joint Chinese-Pakistani fighters, and Chinese fighter
So
designs
China,
are generally accepted as
Pakistan
being
works with
inferior
China and
to
they
either
build it. So
Russian
that's
or
pretty cool
American
because
designs. In the air,
then
India
the
will
Pakistani
definitely hold the
engineers would
advantage.
also learn
India fields a
how to
transport
build
fleet that's 5 times
the
greater than
airplanes, and maybe in
Pakistan's
the
own
future
fleet,
they can
with
build their own. For
250
example, they
various
don't have to
transport
go
aircraft
to
versus
an outside
Pakistan's
country
49.
to
Backed up with
purchase
a
those
helicopter
equipment.
fleet that's twice the size of Pakistan's, with 722 helicopters versus 346. India has a crucial advantage in air
Yeah, so
mobility that
in
Pakistan
every
can't
equipment
match. This will
comparison, we
make the
can see that
movement of
India
heavy
has
equipment and infantry through
the
the
larger
mountainous
quantity of
northwest
those
border of India
pieces of
possible. And while
equipment,
easily
whether it's
defended,
airplane,
will favor an
transport,
Indian offensive in the region.
helicopters, and
Air transport, though,
or
will matter little
personnel
to
or
Pakistan, as
reservists.
it'll be fighting a defensive war, hoping to bleed Indian forces, trading territory for casualties until the Pakistani army can counterattack. Still, the lack of mobility will mean Pakistani forces in the mountainous north will suffer greatly and likely be inevitably defeated. One area that Pakistan outshines India is in attack helicopters, with Pakistan operating 56 American Vietnam-era Cobras versus a fleet of 23 Indian attack helicopters. Pakistan would likely choose to use these in the mountainous north, as they'll make supporting its forces in the difficult terrain much easier. If India does not properly equip its mountain infantry with man-portable air artillery, it could face serious casualties, as Pakistani attack forces provide close air support. India's own fleet is so
The sad
small
thing
and
about
left
war is
limited
that
to no
the only way that,
being
for
easy
example, you
fodder for
could
Pakistan's own air
possibly
artillery.
win
Both
is
nations,
having like
however,
the
have
most
so few attack
advanced
helicopters
weaponry,
that their air fleets will become
and
depleted due
with
to
that usually
casualties and
requires
equipment
more money.
breakdowns
But
within the first
sometimes
week or two of serious fighting. The bulk of the
it's
fighting
not even
between
the
the two
equipment,
nations will
right?
happen
It
on
also
land, and this means
depends
that the
on
most important
strategy
element of either nation's
and the
military
willpower of
will
the
be
people.
its
Like for
main
example,
battle-tank
in
fleet.
Vietnam,
Here again, India outnumbers Pakistan nearly 2-1, with
people who stood up
4,292
against the
tanks versus
invasion,
Pakistan's
they didn't
2,200.
have a lot of
Both
equipment,
nations'
but they
tanks
were
vary in
using
modernity, but both nations' tanks are mostly
really
very capable
good
platforms. India's main
plan
tank is the
that they had
Soviet-built
like
T-72
tunnels that they were
with
going
modern
through,
upgrades.
and that's how
Until
they were
Desert
able
Storm,
to
analysts
fight
feared
and
that the
keep
T-72
the
would be a
Americans
formidable
aside.
threat
And
to the
similarly,
American
for
Abrams
example,
and the British Challenger.
in
The short
Afghanistan,
but
although
intense
America
war,
has
however,
been there for
showed
what,
that T-72s were
19
all
years
but
now,
utterly
and it's
obsolete
still, for
versus
example,
Abrams or
war
Challengers,
going on.
scoring not
So
a
although
single
the
kill in
Americans
the entire
have
conflict,
tanks
while
and
American
airplanes and
British tanks
satellites,
decimated
where the
hundreds in
other
return.
side just
Luckily,
has
India won't
guns,
be facing off against
but that's
Abrams
a
or
guerrilla
Challengers in a war
warfare, right?
with
So
Pakistan,
sometimes it's not
as
equipment too,
Pakistan's
but I
main
think
battle
a
tank is the
combination of
Chinese-made
two would
Type
definitely
59,
give
basically a copy of a Soviet
a
design.
country
Type
or an
59
army
could not hope to cope
the
with
upper
modern
hand.
tanks performing even worse than the T-72 against modern American or British armor. But it could still pose a threat to India's T-72s. On the whole, though, India's tank forces would outperform Pakistan's own, and the ground war would almost certainly go to India in a pitched battle. India's own artillery forces also greatly outnumber Pakistan's, with over 4,000 artillery versus
Another
Pakistan's
example of India
1,226.
having more
This
equipment,
includes 266 multiple launch rocket systems versus
as
Pakistan's
well as the
100,
rocket system. Because
giving
like I
India
said, they
far
have a
greater
larger
fire support
budget,
capabilities than
they can
Pakistan.
afford to buy more
However, because
equipment,
Pakistan
and I'm pretty
has the
sure
defensive
that
advantage,
the
its
hardware
smaller numbers would
suppliers,
initially
like the
not matter
companies,
much
they'll
in the
probably
first
give them a
few weeks
deal
of
too,
conflict.
because like
Once
anything,
India was fully
when you're buying
mobilized,
more,
however,
the price
the
gets cheaper,
overwhelming
right?
pressure of so much combat equipment would inevitably break Pakistan's back, unless the nation could score decisive victories with bold counterattacks and push itself into India. India's navy is also far more powerful than Pakistan's navy, with 285 vessels versus Pakistan's 100. This includes one Indian aircraft
India has
carrier,
an
with
aircraft
Pakistan
carrier.
fielding
Cool.
0. The ability to project air
So I
power
thought
out
before
to
that
sea
there
would
was
make
only
it
like a number of
suicidal for
countries that
Pakistan
had
to seek a
aircraft
naval
carrier,
confrontation with
and I
India.
didn't know
And
India had it,
Pakistan's
so
own
that's good
ships
to
would
know.
likely fight a defensive war close to the shore and not venture into the Indian Ocean at all, with 0 destroyers versus India's 10, and
10
8 submarines
destroyers.
versus India's
I didn't know
16.
Pakistan had
Pakistan
submarines.
does
Wow.
not have a hope of winning a naval
So
war.
2 new things at least I
how would a
learned.
war
I didn't
play
know
out
India
between the
had
two nations?
aircraft
Who would
carriers,
win?
and I
India's
didn't know
inability
Pakistan
to
had
respond
submarines.
properly to the
Interesting.
2008 Mumbai terror attacks led it to completely rethinking its war strategy against Pakistan. The terror attacks were quickly traced back to the Pakistan intelligence services, who had trained and equipped the terrorists, but the Indian military was unable to respond quickly enough to punish Pakistan for the attack without taking massive casualties. That's because by the time the link was discovered, Pakistani forces had already moved into defensive positions along the border with India. To prevent this from happening again, India focused on a warfighting concept it's calling Cold Start. The aim of Cold Start is to rapidly mobilize border forces to push into Pakistan and deny advantageous defensive positions to the Pakistani military, in effect opening up a corridor for follow-on Indian forces to pour through. The most important aspect of Cold Start, though, is to move rapidly enough and deep enough into Pakistan's territory that it'll deter the nation from using its tactical nuclear weapons arsenal against the Indian military. Currently, India operates under a strict no-first-strike policy and will only use nuclear weapons in retaliation. Pakistan, however, understands that it is the inferior power to India and thus maintains a defensive first-strike
policy. The two countries have a
different
strategy in using nuclear weapons. So
India's goal
India
is to
has
push
the
deep enough into Pakistan
policy that they're not going to use nuclear weapons first, where Pakistan, knowing, for example, that India has more equipment and more manpower, if India, for example, attacks them for no reason, then for defensive purposes, they have that policy that they can use nuclear power. But in a nuclear war, nobody wins, effects of it last for decades, right? For example, we can look at the example of Chernobyl, right? Although it wasn't an attack, it was a disaster, there's still radioactive material there, right? And at the same time, I'm pretty sure Japan is still basically healing from the damages that were caused by the nuclear weapons there. Nobody wins from
further
war.
escalating the conflict. If Cold Start succeeds, though, Pakistan will be all but neutralized and forced to come to a peace table under India's terms. Removing nuclear weapons from the equation only makes an Indian victory even more certain. And it's sure that without Pakistan resorting to large-scale use of nuclear weapons, it cannot hope to stand against India's military. With few friends on the international stage thanks to its sponsorship of terrorism, Pakistan is also unable to call upon powerful friends to help it in
thanks
case
to
of war.
Pakistan's
Although China might perhaps be interested in responding to Pakistan's call for aid. Given China's antagonistic relationship with India and the fact that India sits right on China's jugular in terms of trade routes that pass through the Indian Ocean, China's got a lot to
So there we
gain
go.
from a
So they're saying
military
something that
defeat
happened,
weakening
right?
India. A
China
Chinese
could come and
intervention,
support
however, would
Pakistan.
almost certainly draw an American one.
And let's see who they. Oh, there we go.
International
So they're
partner and
thinking
fellow
that
democracy. This
America is
would
going to
spiral the
come
conflict
support
from a
India.
regional one into a full-blown major theater war. While the end result would still almost certainly be a combined Indian-American victory, India's military would be hard-pressed to pursue offensive objectives in Pakistan and hold off Chinese forces long enough for America to respond. Luckily, there is little favorable terrain for a major ground offensive from China into India or vice versa, so India would have plenty of time to hold off Chinese assaults until American forces put pressure on China from the Pacific. In a stand-up one-on-one war, though, there's no doubt that
Just
India
recently, a
would
couple of
win
weeks
any
ago, I
conflict
think, right?
with
We
Pakistan.
heard about
What is
a little fight that broke up in the border between China and India. So I guess their relationship is a little bit rocky. I think they were saying like 20 Indian soldiers passed away. I think they were saying like there are also a number of Chinese soldiers that passed away, but China was saying basically there's none, and they were not reporting any of those casualties. But pretty intense region, right? There's China and India going at it. There's Pakistan and India going at it. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that peace remains throughout the world, because from war nobody wins. Usually the civilians are the ones who get impacted the most, because the politicians and the generals usually, you know, hang out in bunkers somewhere at the back and make those calls, where the people in the front lines, the soldiers as well as civilians that are just following their day-to-day life, get impacted. So we pray that peace remains throughout the world. It would never come a time where Pakistan and India get into conflict and have to use nuclear weapons, or any other country. But as a, you know, just informative way of watching the video, it was pretty cool. I liked it, and I hope you guys did too. If you did, please don't forget to like, comment, and share. If you want to recommend another video for me to check out, please put in the comment section. As always, thank you very much, guys, for all your love and support. I just need a little bit of your help. My goal is, inshallah, to reach 100k subscribers by end of this summer. So if you like my videos, you want to support the channel and be part of this journey, please consider subscribing to the channel and turning notification on, so you're notified when a new video is uploaded. I hope you guys have yourself a wonderful day. Take care of yourself and your family, and inshallah, I'll see you in the next video. Take care, and wassalam.